Welcome back, noble heroes. We return to the party as they are in Bridgewalk just after Dom approached Isaac in the halls of the Adamantine Fortress in order to ask him the question of whether or not he was poisoned. Isaac, as you cast the spell and you feel the magic sweep through Dom, you find that he is clean of any poison in his system.
Okay. Isaac holds his hands there for a moment and says, well, Dom, it looks like you're clean. I won't pry into matters now, but I hope one day you tell me what happened tonight.
He nods. I'm sure I will, he says. With that, he is going to ask, and where were you all headed off to?
I'm going to say that they stopped in front of a window in the fortress, and Isaac turns and is kind of like staring out over the city. He lets out a big sigh and says, you know, I feel awfully eager to get back to the Outrunner and find out what happened, but in the meantime, I did so miss being in a city like this. The smell of the streets, the hustle and bustle of the crowds. It's been quite some time. I almost feel like I'm home. I was just going to say, to answer you, Dom, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do tonight.
Well, if you haven't been outside the fortress yet, it appears as though the locals are throwing a fireworks party for us, and there is plenty of free food and beer to be had.
Well, then perhaps we should go join the rest. It would be rude not to,
Partake.
Partake. Yes.
Well, I know some good places in the city. How about we go together?
I would be honored, Dom.
As you head in to what looks like a sort of light atmosphere bar, you could almost call it a pub. Dom is going to look over and wave towards what appears to be the owner or the runner of the establishment. And you're going to see them nod towards Dom, seeming to know who he is. And then he's going to pass back through the public tables into a sort of private back chamber near the kitchens of the establishment, where built into the wall of the kitchen there is an individual table, probably for guests of or friend of the establishment. Dom is going to sit down and says, me and the owner of the bar go way back, he says. Think you'll find our treatment here is quite exceptional, and the beer is damn good to boot.
Isaac will take a glance around, and he wants to kind of like evaluate the building. Like, how old is this bar? Has it been around like as long as Bridgewalk has? What kind of place is it?
Almost none of the buildings in Bridgewalk have been around as long as Bridgewalk has. Bridgewalk is like if the angels in the history books are to be believed, Bridgewalk is millions of years old. And the city has existed in some form of varying size for that entire time, thanks to the Winter Child.
Right.
So as you sit down, you are fairly sure that this establishment was built in the last 200 years by its architecture and by the family of dwarves that seems to run the establishment. You are fairly sure that it is a generationally past business.
Okay.
And as you sit down, Prongor is going to sort of rub his hands together as the young dwarf boy with a barely grown beard is going to come up to your table and ask for your order. Prongor is going to sort of grab at one of the menus and say, do you have mudflap? And you're going to see, it's almost unmistakable, the sort of look of disgust on the boy's face as Prongor asks. He says, we do have a mudflap, sir. It's a few days old, he says. Just how I like it, Prongor says as he sort of slaps his hands together. He goes, "Can you fry it up with an onion and some oil on it?" He says, "I'll have that." Dom is going to look across the table, and you see this, like, narrow look into his eyes. He goes, "I would keep that detect poison spell at the ready."
Does Isaac know what that dish is?
You have heard of mudflup before. It is like a frogfish, a disgusting bottom-feeding creature with little legs that are actually fins that he uses to walk along the bottom. It is some kind of salamander fish that, like, eats the bones and corpses of other fish. Prongor is going to look at you excitedly and say, "Master, this is my favorite food."
Duly noted, Prongor. Is this something they served back in Selenox?
He says, "In the finest establishments." You're going to see Dom roll his eyes at that. When the both of you order and your meals are brought, Dom with a tankard of beer and a small chaser to go with it, what type of food does Isaac order?
Isaac will fold up the menu and politely order whatever the house specialty is.
All right. You are going to get a bowl of bridge noodles, which have a kind of ladder-like lattice built into the noodle and are covered in a sort of thick cheese sauce. One of the house specialities. And they bring out the appropriate wine with it, a dwarven vintage said to be dripped through sweet stone to give it a haughty and thick flavor to go with your meal. However, your stomach immediately turns as the mudflup, a upside-down, dead fat fish that is about as black as oil, is brought out, stinking like a corpse, laid upwards with a lemon on the side and a slight bit of garnish to try to appease what is basically a blackened fish corpse that has been lightly fried, but its scales are so thick and the fish so oily that it actually caught on fire in the process, which Prongor told them to keep perfect. Prongor sort of slurps and rubs his hands together. You and Dom struggle to get over the wafting scent that is filling the dwarven kitchen and that the patrons outside are complaining about.
Oh, no.
Incredible reaction.
Oh, okay. Prongor, I didn't know that you were such an eccentric eater.
He says, "Well, I will eat what is put in front of me, master, but when I have the choice..."
I'm never letting this man cook for me ever again.
When you have the choice, I see you enjoy the finer things in life.
He says, "These tastes span back to my early childhood, master." He says as he looks down at the fish. So it is just like laying there crucified on this plate. And he is going to take the lemon and he sort of like looks at it and tosses it into the trash to the side. He goes, "No flavors needed." And then you hear this sort of like cracking crunch as he takes his knife and just like stabs it through the skin that crackles away, revealing just sort of this pudding of fish insides.
Okay, you gotta stop. I'm actually gagging over here.
It's because of Iceland, though.
I love this. This is great.
I hate you.
Think of it as crab.
I can't. I'm sorry. All I can think of is fermented shark, and it's just making it worse. Oh.
All right. So, as you and Dom struggle, Dom's eyes widely looking at the terrifying scene like a wolf ripping apart the corpse of a deer.
I will be playing Dom for now.
He's going to look over at you and say, "So, how was the run-in with Pitt?"
Quite frankly, it was terrifying. I already knew this journey was going to be dangerous, but the events of these past few days have kind of led me to believe that we're in a little bit over our heads. And I say that after we have already had to fight Dambleth.
He says, "Have you heard that the Holy Patrol has arrived in the city?"
I had not. When was that? This evening?
"Just when night fell. I hear they came north from the Doom Ridge.
The Doom Ridge.
Seems as though they were about their evil cleansing ways, and no better a place than the Doom Ridge to do such thing."
Well, I'd only fear that the Doom Ridge would keep them occupied near forever.
"I heard it kept them occupied for 2 months.
I see.
I have known for quite a while that the Holy Patrol makes a circuit around Ignos once a year, and about once every 2 years they will tarry down in the Doom Ridge for several months, clearing out local warlords and wizards who think to make themselves worldly threats one day. Either way, if we do head in that direction, it's likely we will find ourselves having an easier time of it than we might have otherwise, with them having cleared it out recently."
I was just thinking the same thing. Very fortuitous that things turned out the way they did.
"Have you ever met the Sky Knight, their leader?"
I've only heard tales.
Me as well. I was hoping that you had met her. He? Her? I don't know. The stories always never determine which one it is.
Well, if I had to guess, I'd say probably Roland or Juniper's met him before.
Perhaps, I might try to fish an introduction from one of them then. He says, his appetite clearly gone.
Don't blame him.
As the waiter comes back, he's going to point at his drink and say, "Something stiffer."
Isaac will lean over and say, I'll have one of whatever he's having.
"You sure?" Dom says, looking over across from you. "Are you sure?" the waiter says.
I'm sure. I have 2 men who can carry me back if it's too much.
I wouldn't want Prongor to carry me back right now.
You,
Just saying.
as you get a drink called a stone knife, it is taken in a overlarge shot glass and placed in front of the 2 of you. As both of you drink it down, despite the burn, you feel the stone wash away any effects of the alcohol from you. And you hold your liquor better than any dwarf. Dom seems impressed after his third. "You are surprisingly, what's the word? Full of fortitude."
Isaac kind of swishes his glass around and says, I suppose you could say so, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. It takes quite a few more drinks for me than it does others to, have a nice night, I guess.
Dom, a little bit sloshed at this point, is going to lean across the table towards you and say, "Isaac, I want you to know something."
What is it?
"I understand your struggle."
And which struggle is that?
"I told you that I wasn't always a good man. Well, I didn't tell you that I was a very bad man. I had friends like you have that helped me get over my ways." he says. A kind of dire thought seems to fill his eyes as he says it. Something haunting. He says, I want you to know there's a lot of red in my ledger as well. Prongor has stopped eating his fish and is sort of looking up, forgotten in the conversation, but staring at Dom a little bit. How much?
Prongor.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, does Prongor look suspicious again, or is he just watching?
He's going to lean in and say, how much red? Dom's going to say, the ocean. And he leans back a little bit and closes his eyes like he's let off a heavy burden from himself. Maybe you might have to carry me, he says. Think 3 of those swords is enough. He's going to try to get up from the table.
Well, that should be no problem. Prongor, help the poor man out.
The 3 of you leave, at least 2 of you fully satisfied.
It means a lot to me, Dom. You confiding in me like that. It feels good knowing that I'm not alone on this ship.
He nods, but doesn't seem to have the wherewithal to say much more. Prongor helps him back towards the fortress. Roland, as you finish your dessert, you are going to suddenly see one of the Bridgewalk Drake Guard walk into the building. He's going to look around, and then his eyes will lock on your table, and he's going to quickly approach. Roland Tarkan, he says. You're going to see the owner, walk out and, freeze frame in the door, and then, drop their tray filled with glasses on the ground, and they shatter. Roland Tarkan? His guard's kind of look over. Sir, your sword has been found.
Oh, thank you so much. I thought I was going to have to wake up early tomorrow and look for it.
You see the grim look on his face.
Is it broken?
It is.
Well, Western, this has been great.
You see real pain on her face as she looks over at you.
Excuse me while I mourn
I'm so sorry.
the loss of something that I'm going to be in a lot of trouble for breaking. He gets up and kind of grabs her shoulder, and then...
I'm sure Griswold can fix it, she says towards you.
Take me to it.
He nods. You are led into the Adamantine Fortress once again, through the cheers and fireworks. You are taken to a pedestal with a pillow on top and the 2 broken shards of your sword, the tip and the hilt, sitting fractured and apart. A clean break right through the center. It was buried under several tons of rubble, sir.
Thank you guys for fishing it out. I really appreciate it.
He nods. We can get a bag for you, sir.
I got a bag. I'll just take it. He just picks up the pieces and holds them in one hand and kind of gives the guy a little salute and starts to walk back to... I guess I would have probably dropped my bags in one of the rooms where we were congregating.
The guard will tell you anything you want to know about where your allies are, if he knows.
Do you know where they're putting us up for the night?
I can show you your room, sir.
That'd be cool.
Your friends are on the same wing.
Okay.
As you head up there, you will find who you're looking for, which is?
And say, I'm going to go see if she's in her room.
All right. And Euphemia, what time around would you get back to your room?
I imagine she would have been in deep discussion with the crew for a while. Maybe gone out with Bali for food.
Okay.
Would you have gone out drinking?
No, she'd...
Sorry.
I don't think she'd... Oh, because she gets into bar fights. No. No, I think she's had enough of having her mind altered by anything for a while.
Okay, so about a half hour after you arrive at your room, you see Euphemia has returned to hers.
And say he'd walk down and knock on her door.
She'd open it. Oh! Roland.
How you feeling?
I'm fine, she says. You know, mortal peril and all that. She looks like she does not want to talk about it.
It's okay.
No, I know it is. I've been through worse.
He he kind of gets down, and sits, kind of down at your level in the doorway and looks you straight on. I know exactly how you feel right now. And it takes a minute.
You see some of the fake frivolity sort of melt away. It must be nice to know it can never happen to you again.
I just want you to know if you need to talk to somebody, you can talk to me, okay?
There's a very small quirk. You saved my life back there. Twice, I think. She pats him. Thank you.
He hugs you.
She looks awkward.
I assume. Just know you're not by yourself, okay? And then he's going to get up and kind of pat your shoulder.
She sort of waves at you as you leave, kind of confused by the heart-to-heart. Bye.
Oh, hey, Roland, Johnny says a bit drunkenly. We're going to skip training tomorrow. Sorry.
I figured. You guys have a good night.
Woo.
Get some rest.
She says, the bed's too soft. I don't give a shit.
He just makes his way back to his room.
Pretty beautiful, huh? Rafe says as he looks up at an exploding firework of green in the air.
It is. They've improved, haven't they?
Is that what you looked at?
I can't help myself.
You're like a jeweler, always overanalyzing.
Guilty.
He says, sometimes I just like to exist.
She nods.
I set up a little pool in my house. Up there. Just float away. Not
When'd you
feel
install
or
it?
hear a thing. About a month ago.
I'd like to see that sometime.
Sometimes even stress gets me.
She reaches down and squeezes it. He's still in human form, right?
Mm-hmm.
She reaches down and she squeezes his hand.
What about you? Need another vacation?
You know I hate vacations.
Yet you need one so bad.
That's what Anna says all the time.
So, is she wrong?
Vacations just lead to very bad things. You know what happened on my last one.
It's just bad luck. What were the odds that the hags would be there?
With my luck, blatantly very high.
Well, look, I'm never going to get any candy ever again.
Her eyes widen. She goes, "Don't ever say that.
He smiles with the joke.
You know that's why I learned to make chocolates. So I would never have to buy them again. Next time they sprout legs." She shudders.
You're going to see him sort of look up. And then he's going to kind of smile. It's almost got a secretive sort of hidden vibe to it. Hey, come with me. He's going to grab your hand and sort of mischievously pull you towards the side of the street. Dun, 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 dun. You see a bard playing music on the side of the street for a decent crowd. He says, "Pretty good, huh?" As you all kind of mosey up towards the crowd.
Quite.
As you listen, you're going to see the bard sort of like do a little hop skip with the guitar in his hands. And as he does, it is, yeah.
She pulls up her hood, pauses for a moment, and when she pulls it back, she doesn't look like herself anymore.
Okay.
Is it dancing type of music?
It is.
Care to dance?
You read my mind. As he grabs your hand and holds it up into the moonlight, an explosion of light and color goes off above your heads as you begin to spin. You move lightly on the cobblestones. In the crowd, some eyes are going to look back towards you, but they just smile, taking in the kindness and the grace of your movements, and then return back to the enticing, enchanting music coming from the bard. As he spins you, he's going to lean in and whisper, "I love you."
I love you.
He stops, leans you down into a deep dip, and is going to kiss you lightly on the forehead.
She leans into it and then leans her head back and kisses him full on.
You see a small halfling girl, maybe 11. She is turned around and her eyes are wide, staring at the two of you, and you see a kind of wistful expression on her face, and her mother is going to sort of like grab her and like turn her around.
Hey, it was relatively chaste. It wasn't anything steamy.
She says, "The music is this way, dear."
June hears that and lets go and kind of chuckles slightly.
"I want to dance too," she says, as she points towards the empty causeway. As you all move slightly away from the crowd so that the music is adrift on the atmosphere of the air around you, and a cool breeze comes off the water. "It's going to rain soon," Zarafin says, as he sees the water droplets form in the air.
Shall we go?
One more surprise.
I wait with bated breath.
He's going to take your hand and head back towards the bard.
She gets closer and she puts her arm around his waist as they continue.
Thank you. Thank you, he says. "Lovely evening." "Indeed," Zarafin says as he walks up towards the bard. As the bard sort of looks at the two of you, he seems to be collecting together his coin from the night's work. Looks like he has been quite successful so far. He is going to sort of collect it up and then sort of turn to you and give a little wave, and then sort of go to jump off the stage as the crowd disperses. Zarafan begins to hum, and the bard stops. He's going to jump off the stage in your direction. The man is a freckled human with sort of sandy hair and like large bushy eyebrows. Who are you, sir? The bard says. Zarafan sort of slaps his hand on the bard's shoulder. The bard sort of looks at it like, what the hell? It's Zarafan Sumsall.
I can do it.
I was guessing so as well, and she goes,
Sumsall's eyes are going to widen, and he goes, Juniper?
it's been a while, you old codger.
My friends, he says as he opens his arms wide and takes both of you in. As he hugs the two of you, he says, well, what in the pits are you doing here? I heard there was a scuffle today. Was that you?
We were tertiary members.
He says, right, tertiary. So, you liked my dancing tune, did you? He says.
Your tunes always make my feet move.
He says, well, it's good work tonight. I've never seen a celebration like this, at least not in a couple of years.
It's a good night to celebrate.
That was my thought. When I came down, I was a little concerned with all the people passed out and everything.
Yes.
He says, by the way, it looks like everything's taken care of. Speaking of which, from your perch, he nods upwards to the sky. You didn't happen to see anything in the shadows, did you? Not a thing, Sumsall says. I think all the shadows have headed south. Sumsall says a little mysteriously.
How far south?
Couldn't tell you. Wasn't really looking, the World Dragon says. All I know is that come light time, the sun will shine just well on Bridgewalk. I would keep out of the shadows of the mountains, though. I would keep out of the shadows of the mountains, though.
Would that one could.
He says, I'm about to head on over to the Flipping Flounder if you all would like to join me. Night of dancing.
She looks like she's considering it briefly, and then she looks and goes,
I think we had other plans.
Indeed. It's good to see you, old friend. It's been a while.
You see Sumsall smiles warmly. I heard Roland was in town.
Yes. Last I saw him, he was at the Adamantine Fortress, but who knows where he went afterwards.
Was he in the front of your tertiary fight?
I believe he was in the middle of it.
Sumsall's going to smile. He's going to turn and look up at Zarafan, and in Draconic, he's going to say, my good friend, it's been too long. We should get together again. Zarafan will respond in kind, something not often seen by an angel, speaking the Draconic tongue. He says, indeed we will. By next nightfall, perhaps. And then he's going to turn towards you. Thanks for continuing to protect us, Sumsall says towards you.
She just nods her head.
Has it been useful lately?
Well, actually, it inspired quite the rage earlier, but...
Hope not too much.
Oh, what can you expect of Kazor's offsprings?
Nothing good.
Indeed.
He says, well, I need to earn my coin for the night, so I'm headed off then.
Keep up the good work.
You all, enjoy your time.
She just kind of raises an eyebrow at him.
He holds up his guitar and sort of waves it at the two of you as he walks away, collecting the rest of his silver.
It's been a while since I was in the same city as him.
Are you sure? he says as he takes your hand.
That's fair.
As the
Then
two of
again-
you...
Both of us have a tendency to not look like we seem.
Is there somebody you know who does?
Yes.
I guess there is.
Lately, quite a few. Surprisingly.
That is strange. A new chapter in your life.
Or revisiting an old one.
He's going to stand at the front of your home. 1 minute, he says as he opens the door. He hefts you up to carry you across the threshold. He says, and mind the head? All right, I think I've done it. He places you down across the threshold now.
You're ridiculous. She looks like she doesn't like it at all.
I've got some poems if you'd like to hear them.
Maybe later?
He says, right, we don't have time for all that.
Indeed. I'm sure we're going to get summoned for some nonsense sooner or later. Shall we? She closes the door. And she, very lightly, but with obvious force, just pushes him against the wall, and she just leans in for kissing.
As he sort of hits the wall, he's going to look over and then sort of light a candle. And then
She goes, oh, wait, it's been a while. She hits the wall slightly, and a rune pops up, and suddenly the entire room just gets cleaned and dusted.
he goes, right, we couldn't have done it without that.
Well, who wants to sneeze?
I don't sneeze.
I'm not an angel.
I know.
Oh! Oh!
We can fast forward a little bit.
Right.
I'm pretty sure everybody can imagine what happens there. Afterwards, are the fireworks still going on? Actually, it's probably...
Yeah, it's
I'm just
probably
gonna-
it's probably the next morning. We'll go ahead and move to the next day.
I do need to talk to him, though.
You should have thought of that earlier.
You know,
The
there's
time for
afterglow.
talking is done.
No. The time for talking is in the afterglow.
God.
We'll get back.
What?
The party gains
I'm so embarrassed.
one
glad I have a mask
chaos
on my face.
for 5 days passing.
I'm quite red.
Wait, what?
Party gains 1 chaos for 5 days passing.
No, I don't like it.
Don't we only have one chaos though?
Yes.
No, we had no chaos, and
That's
now
what
we
I'm
have
saying,
one
we
chaos.
had no
oh, yeah.
after.
Because he
Wait, did
spent
we
the
have
wish
a?
point.
Did we do an extended? Oh,
No,
it's
this is just
real,
5
real
days.
time. Okay, sorry. I
Do
had
you
to-
do an extended? That's an important question.
Do we need to? Are you guys in need of an extended? Because I don't.
Just a full night's rest would be enough, right?
Fate
Isn't it?
points.
Yeah.
You have no fate points.
I
right
know. I would prefer to have an extended rest.
I mean, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I figured we were.
Yeah.
Because an extended rest gives me another wish point.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, if you guys have an extended rest, then I'll roll for chaos.
Oh dear.
Go ahead and roll for wish point regain on tribute and lament, if you have used any points. You never use any points on tribute.
Well, I haven't had an used to yet, considering I
What do
wasn't
I
in the
roll?
fights.
You guys do not gain any chaos for the long rest.
Yay!
You roll a d6.
Okay. Oh, I don't have it. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I hate that that's probably out of camera because that was incredibly funny.
I was looking for something pretty, and then it was these guys, and they're boring, and I just totally glossed over them.
I don't have a...
Pretty one.
Oh,
You gain 4 fate points back to
that
lament.
was awesome.
Seriously though, where is your pretty one? You have a deck set.
I know. Oh, okay. There's a pretty one.
All right.
Have a D6.
There's just a...
It wasn't already red.
Now my mission to make Jamie as red as possible.
Oh.
She will match her mask. I'm sure I'm pretty red too, so it's okay.
All right. I lied. I do need to do one more thing before we move on. Although you guys will gain the extended rest still. Roland, as you shut your door, having spoken just now to Euphemia, you walk inside, you see a, not lavish, but certainly a room of acceptable normal standard for a castle. And you have a small barred stone window that looks out onto a sort of side view of the wilds around Bridgewalk. And you can see off in the distance the spikes of the sky range rise up into the sky. And then you're going to hear, you will see sort of a puddle has formed on the outside of the windowsill from a light drizzle of rain that has come in. And as you look into it, you're going to see a part of a reflection of your own eye, but independent of you. The eye is going to look over your face.
He'll like kind of rub his eyes a little bit and look at it again.
It mimics your movements perfectly. Roland. The voice seems to come from somewhere in the room.
Yeah, he looks around a little.
As you look around, Roland, the voice is coming from the side of your room. As you move over in that direction, you're going to see a mirror. And you will see that you are reflected in it, even though you should not be. The Roland in the mirror is going to look out towards you. Hey!
What the hell's going on?
As you stand before the mirror looking at another you, "Hey there, chum," he says.
He immediately kind of like recoils a little bit.
"It's me, the other," he says.
You're not the other.
Okay, well, I don't know what... He's going to think for a moment. He goes, "You know, I do need a name. Because I don't want to be confused with that other guy." He says, "You know what? Call me Dalnor. It's an anagram of your own name."
I don't... Where did you come from?
I was just actually wanting to speak to you about that. Look, I have seen a couple of your memories, he says. Things that you've thought about.
He sits down and leans against the bed.
I don't want us to be like you and him. I want to help, he says. Look, that event in the courtyard with Pitt and that wizard, I think when we ran into each other, something happened. I think it certainly hurt, but I think it hurt him more, he says. He's really gone deep. I don't know if he's coming back.
The other?
He nods. Look, I realize that might sound bad, but I didn't do anything to him. I think he chose to do it. So, as I'm the only one here right now, I wanted to take a moment to try to get to know you. And for you to know me.
Man, I was really hoping if I just ignored you, you'd just go away.
I know. You haven't had good experiences with this. But I'm thinking, you and him never tried to work together. It was always, but we can. I want to work with you. I think that we can do better working together than you ever did apart.
That's not the way it's supposed to be, though.
Who's to say what it's supposed to be? We get to choose what it is.
I don't get to choose what it is. I'm bound.
Well, I'm the chain. Look, here's what I want. I'll just come right out and say it. Let's train together. You and me. In the morning, if you don't like it, I'll never speak to you again.
The way I used to train with him?
No, not like that. I don't want to be your taskmaster. I think I can grant you my strength. And I think you can grant me a window into your world. What do you say? First light?
It is pretty clumsy the way you're taking control right now.
But that's just it. I don't want to take control.
No, I'm saying it would be a little better if we smooth this out a little bit.
Exactly. I want to be your left arm and you be the right. They always say 2 heads are better than 1.
Okay.
All right. Also, if this goes well, I'd like to meet your friends.
Oh,
I think I figured out a way we can do it. But we'll talk about that later.
okay.
Yeah. One step at a time.
We'll see how tomorrow goes.
Right. It's probably going to be rainy, so, maybe put on our galoshes.
Okay.
You're going to see him suddenly assume your copy in the mirror, and you think Dalnor is gone.
I hate this. He's just gonna put his head down and just kind of commiserates for a while and then tries to go to sleep, but pretty much stays awake all night.
Isaac. The next morning, Prongor's beautiful face is going to be the first thing you see as you awaken. Master, there is a carriage outside for you. I believe the angel sent it.
Oh, gods. We were supposed to go to that vineyard, weren't we?
It's still early, Master.
You said he sent a carriage.
Yes, Master.
Well, let's not keep him waiting, I suppose.
He nods.
And then Isaac will get up and kind of put himself together.
Since we imagine the intent of this is for the angel to establish a relationship with you, Master, shall I be coming?
This time around, Prongor, you can stay here. I'd like to check him out myself first.
Indeed, Master. That is what I expected you would say. Very well. Well, I shall prep up this room for us. As you head outside, you see before the Adamantine Fortress a small carriage. It seems not particularly lavish, but as you step forward, the driver is going to turn towards you and tip his hat in the drizzling rain outside. Sir, he says.
Do you know where we're going already?
Yes, sir, I do. Been paid as well. Please, if you would, Lord.
All right. Well, let us be off then. And Isaac will climb up into the carriage.
As you get up, you find that you are the only one in the carriage, but it sets off immediately going down the roads, the big, long, heavy bridges, to the Targle's vineyard. As you head for perhaps it's about 45 minutes, a little bit outside the city, maybe half a mile outside the city, and the rain increases in intensity as the morning progresses. The sun just barely coming up. The rain clouds are going to keep the colors rather muted, however, so your dark vision is in full effect. As you get out, you find yourself surrounded by beautiful green hills that would be sun-kissed in any other weather. And you see a line of well-kept orchard trees, as well as grapevines. Additionally, the road that you were on has pulled up alongside a rather luxurious gazebo that seems to be attached to several buildings for working with all of the fruits that the vineyard keeps. And there is a little bit of farm-like movement going on the lower vineyard. But you will see Zarafan in his human form inside the gazebo awaiting you, with two glasses, one next to an empty seat and the other one in front of him. He's going to wave towards you as you get out of the carriage.
Isaac steps out and starts walking towards the gazebo with staff in hand. And he kind of gathers his cloak around himself to kind of ward off the wetness of the day.
I would have preferred it to be drier, Zarafan says with a bit of a chuckle. But I hope you don't mind that I got started.
No, of course not. I know we spoke of this before, but... Oh, go ahead.
I don't think either of us are going to have any difficulty with drunkenness.
No, I shouldn't. Sometimes I miss it.
As you take quick up the stairs, you are going to see that the wine in between you all appears of a high quality. And there is a bottle sitting on the bench that he is sitting on at the end of it. He kind of gestures towards the other bench.
Isaac will take a seat and say, "Do you mind?" as he reaches out for the bottle.
Of course not.
He will pour his glass and kind of swoosh the wine around and take a sniff of it and say, "I know we spoke of this before, but remind me, to what do I owe the pleasure of our meeting?"
You said you had questions. I wanted to try to meet you halfway with a few answers. And I was hoping that if that goes well, then maybe you might satisfy my curiosity. What say you?
After the events of the past few days, that sounds nice.
As the two of you begin to sip lightly at your wine, intent as two duelists are, raising their sabers to one another, getting ready to joust back and forth. Or perhaps it will be much more civil than that. The unsurety hangs in the air for a moment, just like the weather, unsure if it's going to rain or shine today. Either way, you raise your eyes, accepting the challenge. And we will end there for the time being, noble heroes. Thank you for joining us. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Give us a comment below and let us know what you thought about this. And do try this at home. Good night.